This was not a fight you thought you would ever take on, even when this was happening to you, even when you were being harassed. You told my colleague Patty Sellers of Fortune, "I never expected to become the face of sexual harassment." Well, look where we're sitting today. Okay, look what has transpired with Harvey Weinstein in Hollywood. You know, all these women were silenced.
So it's not just about the silencing of women. It's about the enablers who normalize this within their own corporate culture, right? So the floodgates have been opened, and I really am optimistic that we're actually going to see change.
Yeah.
And as I said in the New York Times op-ed, predators, watch out, because people are starting to talk.
When anyone, men or women, go through experience sexual harassment, the natural place to go in a workplace is HR, is human resources. You make the counter argument, the controversial, frankly, argument that HR may not be where you need to go. Mm-hmm. Why?
Well, because people who work in HR departments are getting their paychecks from the company. And that was one thing that people always told me as I worked my way up. You know, are they really your friend? No, because they're being paid, you know, from the company. Now, I have heard from tons of people who work in HR who are good people who are trying to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm not trying to malign the whole industry of HR people. However, I do believe that with regard to discriminatory cases and sexual harassment, that we should have an outside source that would be come inside the company but not work at the company to be able to hear these complaints.
Most men and women in America are working multiple jobs.
True.
And they cannot afford to lose the job.
And that's the gnawing question that has bothered me more than anything else over the last 15 months. But that is why I set up the Gift of Courage Fund, mm-hmm. which is financially supporting organizations that already empower women and girls, but even more to that point of how do I help the single mom working 2 jobs who's being sexually harassed at work?
You have agreed to testify before Congress
mm-hmm.
about forced arbitration. You have the support of Minnesota Senator Al Franken on this one, Senator Patrick Leahy, Senator Blumenthal, you know, have pushed the Arbitration Fairness Act. This would be a big change if it becomes law. It would amend the 1925 Federal Arbitration Act. Mm-hmm. What needs to change, Gretchen, and why?
So when people hear about forced arbitration, they can get a glaze factor because they're like, what the hell is that?
But it's in a lot of contracts that people sign.
It's prevalent in employment contracts. It's become more prevalent. So here's what it is. It's a secret chamber where disputes at work are solved. But did you hear the word secret?
Totally secret, yeah.
It's totally secret. So hypothetically, if a woman's being sexually harassed and she has an arbitration clause in her contract, she's given up her 7th Amendment right to sue in an open court. And so nobody ever knows about her story, ever. And typically what happens is, if she files a complaint and goes to secret arbitration, she has to leave her job. Only 20% of the time do the arbiters find in favor of the employee. And the predators still stay in the workplace. And nobody ever knows about it. So we're fooling ourselves in society and culture into thinking we've come so far on these issues. Why? We're not hearing about them. But the reason we're not hearing about them is because they're all going to secret arbitration.
Because it's legal.
It's legal, but this is a way for companies to also have problems that never come to light publicly.
So what would this change if you have had your druthers? Mm-hmm. What changes?
So I would, well, first and foremost, it's essential and crucial to me that I get a bipartisan bill on this.
Do you have Republican support?
I have been meeting, yes, I have been meeting with Republicans on this, and I'm very optimistic about it.
Any names you can share?
No. But I am very optimistic that I'm going to be able to get a bipartisan bill here. Okay. Because here's the issue, Poppy. Sexual harassment is apolitical.
Of course.
When somebody decides to harass you, they don't ask you what political party you belong to before they do it. And the same reasoning can be said for any member of Congress who has a daughter, a niece, or a granddaughter. Do they want them to go through what I went through and thousands of other women go through every single day? The answer is no. Mm. So the one thing I'm asking for is to take the secrecy out of it. Just take the secrecy out of it.
Allow the arbitration
to be public. Because you know what that would do to the pendulum? It would equalize it between employee and employer. And the other huge part of that equation is that once it's public, other women within that company also find out that somebody else has filed a complaint. So then you're not alone either. You're not thinking it's just me.